Well, I'm shook. Last night we saw where the drones were landing, and I'm going to show you exactly where today. But wait till you see who owns the building. I don't know if I should be showing you this, but I'm just going to do it. Last night on my live stream, they were coming in, okay? And down, we'd lose them behind this building, and then they'd go, and there's a building back here, this white building. I'm going to zoom in a second. Oh, there it is. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this guy goes. Where are you going, sir? Oh, wow. Wow. And it's gone. What is that building? Okay, interesting. And at nighttime, we couldn't tell. But today I came out here, and I'm like, what is that building? Okay, well, do you see that blue? It looks like an NW on the logo of the top left of the building. You see the blue NW? Okay, well, it's not really hard to see where it is because this is all one straight road. So I just drove this with my dog down the road, across, over, and found it. Okay, I found the building. Here it is. You got the NW up there, right? So that's the one that I was looking at. Now it looked like we were they were landing kind of like in there, like in the building, and then we lose it. And I was like, I don't see anything. So I kept looking just a little further and look at the next building over. Holy shit. What the fuck, dude? What the fuck? This is where they're landing. I don't know what's on that roof up there. I'm trying to see, but you could see, like, so I live all the way up there, and we were watching, everything was kind of coming through, and we would lose them at this building just a little bit further. And of course, they're trying to hide it from you. Look at that. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
It's a very quick way to calm a woman down, and it works for most women. Why do I say it works for most women? Because the majority of women have either anxious preoccupied attachment or fearful avoidant attachment if they have attachment insecurities. I'm Dr. Sarah Hensley. I'm a specialized social psychologist, and I've been studying the science of attachment and attraction inside romantic relationships for nearly 20 years, and this is another edition of Carline Relationship Advice. Okay, let's get to it. The master nervous system regulating hormone for women is oxytocin. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Fearful avoidance and anxious preoccupied individuals respond very, very well to oxytocin. Dismissive avoidance, they have decreased amount of receptors for oxytocin. They don't respond to it as well, so this strategy wouldn't work as well with them. But for the majority of women, this is going to work really well. How do you increase a woman's oxytocin? Through affirmation, safe conversation that conveys understanding, and safe physical touch. Okay, so let me just give you what it looks like. Yesterday, I had a very irrational moment. It doesn't matter why, just know it was very irrational. And that's unusual for me, but my husband handled it with an A+ because he flooded me with some oxytocin. Essentially, I came in, there was this whole ordeal at the car wash. I ended up having to get my car washed twice because there was a jerk in the line who was honking his horn for me to move faster. Anywho, so that was like the straw that broke the camel's back. I came in, I was very irrational, I was very teary-eyed, not my usual. And my husband was just like, oh, babe, come here. Let me just tell you that I think you're so amazing and you're doing such a great job in this life. And I know you're experiencing a difficult moment, but I just want you to know whatever difficulty you have is also my difficulty. I am here with you, and no matter what you face, you're not going to do it alone. And he just let me put my head on his shoulder, and he gave me a deep hug, and he's like, I understand you're upset, and I'm here with you. I love you. He didn't offer me one dang solution. And you know why? It would have upset me if he would have offered me some solutions, because I already thought through all the solutions. Your woman has already thought through all of them, and she doesn't like any of them. That's why she's upset. She's upset because she doesn't like any of the solutions she has already thought of. And when you bring her a solution, you are giving her no oxytocin. You are not doing a dang thing to regulate her. In fact, it's redundant, and it feels like you're challenging her intelligence that she didn't already think of that.
What do you mean scientists just found 128 new moons around Saturn? Every year, astronomers discover a couple new moons, mostly around Saturn and Jupiter, and it's kind of been a competition between the two for who has the most moons. And then yesterday, the International Astronomical Union ratified and released 128 new moons around Saturn, all at once. So guess how many moons it has in total now? 274. Just to remind everyone, we only have one. To be fair, most of these moons are a lot smaller than ours, only a couple of miles across, but there's a lot of them, and most of these moons orbit somewhere between 6 and 18 million miles away from Saturn, so way past its rings and major moons. Also, some of them orbit in a backwards rotation compared to Saturn's major moons. Scientists think that these smaller moons may have formed from giant collisions of other objects in space, maybe from larger moons that were previously in Saturn's orbit. What's very cool is that astronomers can tell which of these moons came from the same larger object, so they can basically make a moon family tree. And don't hold me to this, but if historical patterns continue, Jupiter's not going to take this lightly, and a giant new Jupiter moon discovery is going to happen.
Animals that should be mythical but aren't. Part 6. So let me get this right. You want me to believe that a unicorn exists and is too much? Like it never existed in the past. A horse with a horn is so mythical. Then I'ma need somebody, for the love of God, tell me how this exists. This is called a narwhal, aka the unicorn of the sea. It's a fucking whale with a horn. And I bet you didn't know this. Guess what the horn is? A spiraling tooth. It's a 10-foot sword that just pierced right through their upper lips. But don't worry, animal lovers. This does not harm them. It is normal. It is fucking normal. Narwhals' horns are filled with nerve endings, so they can feel everything that's touching it. Narwhals are closely related to belugas, but where along the line did they develop a fucking horn? I don't know, man. I know my opinion matters to y'all, and I won't believe a narwhal is real until somebody brings me one and I do my own investigation.
I feel like as you get older, eventually everybody falls into like one of two camps. There's the first camp is people that just settle in and they just go, this is my life. I'm just going to keep doing this until I die, which is hopefully not going to be for a while. You know, they find their little spouse and their kids and their house or whatever, and they just find happiness and they find peace with that. And there's a lot of pros to that. The pro is that a lot of times you're a lot more comfortable, you're a lot more happy, there's less stress, there's less sadness. Still some of those things, just less. There's a lot more peace. The con is that you probably have to live most of your life with a deep feeling of unfulfilled potential in yourself, and that sucks. Okay? But there's the trade-off. Happiness, unfulfilled potential. The second camp are the chasers. The people that want to spend their entire life constantly chasing something, pursuing something. With these people, the pro is that you feel a lot more fulfillment in terms of how you're pursuing your actual intrinsic value as a human being, okay? The con is that you're lonely and sad. And typically, you go through these cycles of every 4 to 5 years, your life completely crumbles and you have to rebuild. But they like that. The chasers like that. They like that rebuilding. They like that, okay, just went through a breakup, just lost a job, business failed, whatever. I have nothing. Now I need to start again. They like it. And is it healthy? Probably not, but they like it, okay? So really, eventually, 99.999% of people fall into one of those two buckets. There is a sneaky little third party, though, of people that just go, screw both of that. I'm not doing any of that. All of that sounds like a prison. What I'm going to do is get a job at a tiki bar and live on a beach for my entire life, and eventually I'll die poor. And I got to tell you, every year of my life that goes by, those sounds pretty good. It's starting to sound pretty good.
So many of you don't know what your blood type is, because it's been being gatekept from you. We used to know what our blood type was like that. It was on everything. It was on every test. Your blood type was always told to you. Now your blood type isn't told to you. You know why? Because they're literally using your blood type and poisoning you with it. They're utilizing your blood type, and they have created foods to make sure that your blood type is not going to strive. Do you know that in the blood type O family, it's predominantly black and predominantly white? That's blood type O. Blood type O is supposed to eat lots of beef. Notice that white people never stop eating their beef. They just introduce chicken and pork to you. They introduce the things that will fucking literally destroy you as a blood type O, while they were still eating their beef and their filet mignon and their mousse and all of that stuff. But then for the lower income white, the lower income white, they have attached you to the black. Because guess what? You running around eating chicken and pork and all the things that they know is going to literally destroy you. So most of the foods out there is meant to destroy blood type O. And who's mostly blood type O? When you split it down the middle, black, and funny enough, white. And funny enough, so the half and half. So you have some who's doing right. And the rest of us, they are trying to kill you with your food. Blood type O, you don't even understand the plan. You don't even understand the plan.
Inbreeding isn't destructive because of genetic proximity alone. It's destructive because it fails to resolve contradictions through the process of contrast and recombination. Instead of introducing new variables to resolve, test, and refine weaker structures, it recycles the same contradictions repeatedly, compounding distortion rather than correcting it. From a fractal standpoint, this is a closed-loop recursion without external contrast. The errors or the weaknesses in the genetic structure don't get the opportunity to be tested against a different set of logics or genes from a non-related mate. Instead, these contradictions compound, leading to exponential instability over time. Mathematically, you can think of this like an iterative feedback loop without an external input. If you only fold the same errors in on itself without contrast to introduce corrective mechanisms, the distortions amplify over time. So inbreeding, from my fractal standpoint, can be thought of as failure of information refresh and error correction. Every system requires contrast to self-correct or it will collapse. DNA isn't just code, it's a fractal resolution system. This information isn't available out there right now, but I'm going to start introducing this idea. And because it's a fractal, it appears everywhere, and you'll be able to see this concept in your own life.
Can someone who knows science explain this to me? This is a hair that I just ripped out of my head. It's grey in this section, obviously. That's the end of it. It's black at the end. Oh, it has a little grey tip. What a weird piece of hair. It's black at the end, grey for this giant section, and then it's black at the root. Was I just stressed out for this part of my life and now I'm relaxed?
Do you ever wonder why the government doesn't want us talking to wild dolphins? Check this out, y'all.
But what do the dolphins know? I'd like to remind you that the government told us that the aliens are living in the ocean, and they also told us it's illegal to try and interact with a wild dolphin.
Yep.
And I mean interact in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Don't try and talk to it. Don't try and elicit a response from it. Don't feed it. Don't.
Weird, right?
Don't nothing. Don't even look at that bitch. Now, they say this is to protect dolphins and humans alike, and I'll buy that because they're wild animals, okay? But why can't I even try to speak to it? Why can't I even just try to elicit out of it? I don't know how dolphins sound. The fuck, they don't understand me and I don't understand them, right? Right? It is a
Good
felony
question.
to even attempt this behavior. There's even a snitch line for it. Dolphins are too smart. They are self-aware. They have shown signs of empathy because they'll help out other creatures, including human beings. They can communicate amongst themselves in a language that we don't understand at all. It's the clicks and the, you know what I'm saying, those high-pitched noises. Some of them our ears can't even pick up on. They are the second smartest creature on Earth behind us. Do they have a conscience? They live in an environment that we haven't explored 80% of. We don't know 80% of what's down there in that ocean, but you know who does? Dolphins.
She poses a great point. The dolphins might actually know something that we don't. As always, thank you for watching. Stay weird, and until next time.
A shiny red fire engine. Now let's put a cyan filter over the top of it. Here's the thing, red light cannot pass through a cyan filter, it just can't. So now there is no red light in that picture, I can promise you, and yet your brain is still telling you that it's red. It's overcompensating for the filter, but it's rather tricking you, you know. The parts that you're being told are red are actually this colour. Now let's prove it. Let's move that square over the top of the picture. There's no red in that picture anymore, it's all gone. Now I've only just made this, so please let me know if it works for you. And I'm now back with loads of new nonsense like this, so if it's for you, please give me a follow. Thank you.
Today I'm going to tell you how to do Elon Musk. So, yeah, listen up, and this is how you do the impression. Okay, so if you're at your house right now, you can try this and start nodding your head. This is going to become your whole body, and make sure that the pattern is not predictable. And hit follow, because my next impressions I'm going to master are Bill Burr and Andrew Tate. Now we're going to get the face. This is tight. Keep this tight. until it becomes Elon face. And the mouth is down like this. And you can smile like that. You can scoff. You can also glitch out occasionally. You can adjust your hat always this way. It's always more up and forwards. Now we're going to get the accent. It's all at the front of the mouth. And, you have to listen to him because he went to Canada and then went to America. So it's a little different. It's a sibilant S. It's a little different than the Herbert the Pervert, like, hand in my pocket, so good. It's more screeching, but I like to make it slightly more whistle just because that is a funny part of the impression to me. Now we're going to put everything together and add the most important part, which is the stutter. Now the accent comes by itself. You can add this. And it's all about adding the stutter. And, nobody can predict when I'll do it and when I won't. That's what's so frustrating about listening to the Elon voice. Because like that, we're up in the satellites, and now we're back. So, you want to make sure that this is also unpredictable in its chaoticness. So just when the person has adjusted to the amount of stuttering, you say one sentence completely normal. Well, it makes it even worse because if it's all stutter, they can get used to that. But they can't. Sometimes you talk normally. That should be enough to do it at a party. If you actually want to take the impression a bit further, remember, you are not here to be an activist. The worst impressions are people that adore a person or hate a person. Because if you hate them, you can do a shitty impression and then go, oh, I'm just trying to make the person angry on X. And if you adore them, you can be like, well, look, they love my impression because I say all the right things. Hope you guys have a good day. Stitch this with your impression and let me know what happens.
TikTok may have just solved or at least provided a clue to whether time travel or time loops are real. When I tell you I ran to make this video as soon as I just read the email that I just read. Yesterday I posted this story about this woman named Maria who said that she and her siblings experienced what they think is a time loop while driving from Georgia to Florida, or Florida to Georgia. Basically, her and her siblings could not escape this gas station, and that video is right before this video in this playlist. But I just got an email from this guy named John Doe. He did not use his real name, okay? This email came at 2:56 a.m. I'm just going to read you what he said. Normally I like to summarize, but I feel like this one needs to be read in his words. Keep in mind, I can never prove or disprove the validity of these emails. Like, these could come from anyone. So I don't know if this is true, but it's very convincing, okay? It says, "Hi, Ashley. My hands are shaking as I type this email. I have debated sending this message for several hours, and I am now several drinks in. With liquid courage, my curiosity finally outweighs my hesitation. Regarding the story of what you call Maria's glitch in the Matrix, as she and her family traveled from Florida to Georgia, I am curious if she remembers an approximate location. I ask because her story is eerily similar to a story my father told my sister, who is recently deceased, and I as we were growing up, and the details of this story made me question everything I've ever believed in. I have reason to think my father may have been the man they encountered at the gas station. My father was born in 1942, not far from Lexington, Kentucky. He was a man of pride and valued that over all else. When he was a teenager, he and his family relocated to Georgia, where he spent most of his life. He served in Vietnam as a track vehicle mechanic, MOS 63C in the Army, but he was medically discharged in 1966 due to a back injury. After returning home, he married my mother. My sister was born in 1967, and I was born in 1971. By the time I was born, my father struggled with a severe addiction to... His doctors prescribed him a mix of something for sleep, something to keep him functional, and something else for pain. A mix that was common for veterans back then. Couple that with excessive drinking, and you can imagine that my mother was unhappy. She often packed the car and took us to live with her parents, my grandparents, but they always ended up getting back together, and we played happy family from time to time whenever my father cleaned up his act enough to win her back. Although he had periods of employment as a mechanic, working for small mom and pop shops and even running his own business at one point, he was often unemployed for long stretches. By the time this story takes place, my mother must have been fed up and threatening to leave him again because he cleaned up his act long enough to get a job working nights at a gas station. The place was owned by an old friend of his, and it had an old body shop attached to it that was mostly non-functional. I don't know if it was for lack of business or money, but I think the plan was to get Dad working back in the shop eventually when there was business for it. The year was 1984 and I was 13. I remember this because my sister and I had gone to see Karate Kid the night he came home talking about time travelers. We were still awake. My sister's friend Jill was spending the night and I had a thing for her, so I was hanging around trying to impress her. I saw the headlights from a car pull in the drive and heard my father come in the back door. This was earlier than he usually arrived home, and he and my mother argued. At one point, she appeared in the doorway of our bedroom and pulled it shut. I couldn't hear most of the conversation, but he was frantic. He yelled about time travel. My mother must have thought he was out of his mind, drunk or high, and told him to get out.
I heard him shuffle down the hallway, presumably to pack a bag. A few minutes later, the door burst open and he stood in the hall, his eyes wide and scared. When he talked, his voice was low. I saw fucking ghosts tonight. 5 of them. Ghosts from the future, he told us. The 3 of us stared at him, not believing a single word. By that point, he had disappointed us so many times that we never expected him to stay sober for long. You don't believe me. I can prove it. There's fucking tire marks where they left it. I'll show you. My sister nodded, trying to appease him. He looked sad, realizing that tire marks didn't prove anything. The car was from the future, too. And after that, they left, and they came back to watch me driving by real slow. My mother appeared in the doorway behind him and told him it was time to go. He didn't fight her, just slumped over and walked out. He matches this woman's description nearly to a T. He would have only been in his early 40s when this took place, but his hair had gone completely silver in his mid-30s. He had the darkest, most hollow eyes you've ever seen, which I always attributed to his years of substance abuse that also aged him beyond his years. He almost always wore the same pair of denim overalls and a white shirt beneath it. He was wearing them that night. I remember it as clear as if it were yesterday, because that was the last time I saw him for 16 years. He came back around when my first child was born. He had tried to make contact over the years, but my mother insisted that he was unwell and that having him in our lives wouldn't do anything good for us. She was probably right. After my mother's passing and when I became a father, I realized it was time to let the past be the past and let him back in. He was overjoyed to be a grandfather, and that night as we caught up, I brought up the last night I saw him. I asked him why he relapsed when he did. He told me that he didn't, and that the story he told us that night about seeing 5 people from the future was the truth. He said he'd always known what he had seen, but that no one had ever believed him. Eventually, he said he just stopped talking about it, but it had changed his entire life. He told me he believed in God, or at least something bigger than himself, because there, quote, sure as shit wasn't any way, there ain't nothing else out there after that. I still didn't believe him, but I thought that at least he was sober and found something to believe in. He died the following year. I have told my daughters this story, and until now, it was just that, a story, one of the few I have of him. One of my daughters, who still lives at home with my wife and I, saw your video and showed it to me last night as I lay dozing on my chair. She said it reminded her of the story I'd told her of her grandfather. Upon first watch of your video, I came to the conclusion that I was having a lucid dream. When I realized I was awake, my hands trembled hard enough that I had trouble holding her phone. My daughter did not know details of what my father wore or even what he looked like at the time, with long, unkempt hair and a thin, skeletal build, the night he supposedly encountered these people from the future. No one could have known the details of his story or how precisely they matched this story you shared unless they had been there themselves. My father was an addict, there's no doubt about that. Perhaps he really was hallucinating that night, but now I wish I'd asked him more questions. As for the gas station, if it was the same one, it would have been just south of Valdosta on road off of SR 376. I have chosen to stay anonymous as I work in a field that demands evidence-based thinking and cannot have my name out there in relation to this story. I hope you understand. I also understand if you decline to share this, as it may seem like just a disappointed son grasping at straws to feel a connection with his father. Either way, it gives me some peace to know that maybe he was telling the truth. Okay, so where do we go from here? If you are from the area that he referenced, Valdosta, or just south of there near this road that he mentioned, maybe ask your grandparents or your parents if there was a gas station that was also a body shop around here, if they knew the people that worked there. Like, I'm shook.
Hey, well, my friends, thanks for watching all this way. This is that minute to wrap up the show, but with the word from the book of wisdom. I tell you the truth, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. The man who loves his life will lose it, while the man who hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. Whoever serves me must follow me, and where I am, my servant also will be. My Father will honor the one who serves me. That was Jesus speaking, my friends, from John 12:24 going down.